Hello there. So the Biden administration is releasing classified intelligence data about the origins of the health emergency. But will it change anything? Joe Biden has ordered the release of the classified files surrounding the origins of the recent health emergency. And this includes, we are told, information on a potential link with the lab-based theory, but also includes stuff on the potential of it coming from raccoon dogs in a local market. That latter information helpfully coming from the Chinese Center for Disease Control. Now, in a statement, Biden said, "In implementing this legislation, my administration will declassify and share as much of that information as possible. I share the Congress's goal of releasing as much information as possible about the origin." But it also seems that this means releasing as much as possible without harming national security. However, the US intelligence community is completely split on this subject, so I'm not sure that anything that is released will give us a definitive answer. Especially if it points the finger firmly at Xi Jinping's Chinese Communist Party. That would never do, would it? And if anything, I would expect it to be engineered to somehow discredit Trump's time in the White House. Anyway, don't expect these files to be imparting any real information anytime soon, although The Guardian reports that a majority of US agencies now lean towards the outbreak being a natural event. Is that where this is all going? And whatever the outcome, I doubt that anyone will ever think that the real truth has been found. But everything to do with this episode is shrouded in secrecy and the thick fog of doubt. From the origin, to the response, to the medical intervention, to where has all that money gone? If it looks like a scam, feels like a scam, and waddles like a scam. So the Swiss government is going to legalise the use of cannabis for 2,100 residents of Zurich for 3.5 years starting this summer. And when I first heard about that, I thought to myself that I was sure there were many more Credit Suisse employees who would be looking to forget their troubles than that. But if Prince Harry acts fast, he could get himself a drum over there and sign up to the trial before there's a chance that the US will nullify his visa and throw him out for his recent admissions that he's used various substances to help him through his trials and tribulations. Now, there are arguments that this should all be legalised and taxed because the war on drugs has failed. But of course it could never be fully legalised because not many of us want to be treated or operated on by spaced out doctors and surgeons or climb on board a bus or aeroplane where the driver or pilot had just enjoyed a joint. And that scenario gets worse when considering the harder stuff. And even the less dangerous drugs cause problems and can be gateways to stronger stuff. So there will have to be regulations on who, where and when. And those professionals who want to indulge and keep their jobs would probably end up using high-priced dealers in the underground economy anyway. So I think there will always be a criminal market for the stuff, albeit a much diminished one. And those that were involved in pushing will have to go and find another criminal enterprise to fund their livelihoods. But if the Swiss do this, I would hope they'll regulate it better than they did Credit Suisse. And now to the Labour leader Keir Starmer. He wants to reverse the new Tories tax rules that raise the level of how much people can put in their pension every year from 40,000 quid to 60,000, and also get rid of the lifetime allowance on how big your pension pot can be. And although designed to keep doctors from being forced to retire, this new setup will obviously allow the wealthy to get lots of tax breaks to build a huge pension that is far, far more than most people could ever dream of earning as a wage. But then we learn that Starmer has his own personal public sector pension that was put in place in law after he left as being Director of Public Prosecutions. Yes, in 2013 out came the Pensions Increase Pension Scheme for Keir Starmer QC Regulations 2013. And according to reports, as a tax unregistered scheme, it will allow him to continue to save money into his pension without triggering a tax threshold and so incurring a tax bill. All very strange. Why does he need his own personal pension scheme? Or is this just one of many littering our legislative system? Judges already have a similar scheme to keep them in post, and Labour wants to pare down the Tory scheme so that only doctors and surgeons enjoy a boosted pension. Won't be long before the only people with high wages and decent pensions are in public service, not because of the market, but because of preferential laws. Why is it always one rule for them and another rule for us? Although one suspects that the Privileges Committee will, this afternoon, use Boris Johnson as an example of where the rules do apply to all of us. But that will be a situation never to be repeated. But they'll only be following the crowd. A YouGov poll handily conducted today answers the question, do you think Boris Johnson is honest or dishonest, with honest 13%, dishonest 72%, don't know 15%. And when removing the don't knows, that equates to honest 15.3% and dishonest 84.7%. So I doubt it matters how much evidence Boris has in his favour. The general public probably expects the committee to defenestrate him whatever. And the House of Commons voted overwhelmingly today to keep Northern Ireland under the control of a foreign power and its court. By 515 votes to 29, they voted to accept the so-called Stormont Break portion of the Windsor Framework, even after DUP politicians called the whole thing into question, and some like Bill Cash questioned the unconstitutional way in which it was being rushed through the House. But we all know that it had to be done so that Joe Biden would smile kindly on us, on the anniversary of the Belfast Agreement signing. And all we heard from most of the rest was that it was time to compromise and move on. And basically the DUP and its unionist supporters are not at all important and can just suck it up. This will almost certainly ensure that there will be no power-sharing agreement to form a new Stormont executive.